John here. So I pulled this cylinder head off of a customer's engine, and it's a 3B diesel engine. Unfortunately, it's cracked between the valves. So I pulled all the valves out, valve springs, etc. To show you what the cracks look like, I'll flip the head over. So typically what happens is they're right between the valves here, the cylinder head cracks. So there's a crack right there you can see. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it. There's a crack there. Oh, this is really interesting on this one. I'll do a close-up, but the valve seat on this one has shifted, actually. Okay, so here's a close-up of the cylinder head I was just showing you. So here's the first, let's see, this is the front. So this is the number 1 cylinder here. Yeah, this is the number 1. So you can see the crack right here in between the valves, and this valve seat here, you see my pick is running into it. It's actually lifted, which is quite interesting. So I don't know if that's because of the crack or because of just the expansion and contraction, hard to say. This one here doesn't appear to be cracked. This one here, you can see I don't know if it's all, I don't know if you can make the crack out, but that one's cracked. And this one here, you can certainly see the crack in between as well. So the pre-combustion chambers, as I was mentioning, are these guys right here, and they are typically cracked as well. Although some of these don't actually look like they're cracked. That one I can see a little hairline crack. I don't know if you can make it out right there. There's a little crack there. You always want to replace these guys because, as you can see, this part here, oh, see, there's a crack right there. I wasn't even showing you guys. So as you can see right here, there's a crack. But with these pre-combustion chambers, because they're only supported here on the block, sometimes what can happen is if the cracks are bad enough, a chunk of this can fall into the cylinder and just destroy the piston and everything, just cause a big mess. So always replace these guys. The Toyota ones, I'm not sure if they're available anymore, but they make aftermarket ones that seem to be pretty decent. So you can always use those. So anyways, this is these are the valves and the valve springs I pulled out from that cylinder head. They will basically be spares. And then this is the donor cylinder head all wrapped up here, which I will show you guys in a second. I'll show you the bottom. There's no cracks between the valves, and I'll show you how to remove the valve springs. So here's our donor cylinder head. All the valves are installed right now. And in between the valves, you can see on this one, there's no visible cracks in the casting. So this is going to be our donor cylinder head. So I'm going to show you how to remove the valves now. So to remove the valves, you're going to need a valve spring compressor tool, such as this one here. Essentially, you're going to put this side on top of the valve spring holder cap here, and then the other side is going to go on the bottom of the valve. Once I put the clamp on, I'm going to wind down the handle right here, and it will compress the spring. There's something called valve keepers, which basically hold the cap on the valves. So once you compress this, I like to use a magnet just to grab the valve keepers out. Just to grab the valve keepers. The valve keepers are these little guys right here. So you'll pull 2 of those out per valve. So basically what they do is, you see this valve here? They basically lock in, they go into this groove here, kind of wedge themselves in there, and then they prevent this cap from coming off the valve. So they hold the spring. It holds the spring down. Okay, so I'll show you how to take a valve off now. So as I was mentioning, you're going to take this guy here. We'll do, one other thing to note is you want to keep all your valves in order. Everything should be matched. So make sure you can basically clean the bottom of the valve, use a Sharpie, or line them up on a piece of cardboard and number the valves. You want to keep things in order. So what I'm going to do is, just to show you guys here, I'm going to take out this valve here, this intake valve. So center it on the top of the cap. I'm going to have to wind this down a little bit just to get a tighter fit before I start. Okay, so now we're centered there. So just going to wind this down. The valve spring is compressing. On the next one, I'll put the camera on the other side so you can see what's going on here. And I'm going to grab my magnet. It's one valve keeper. The other one should be in there somewhere. Although I can't seem to see it. It'd be quite interesting if there was only one. Oh, the other one fell down behind. Right here, I got it. And then slowly unwind. So decompress the spring slowly. And then gonna basically unlatch the handle, and then you have your cap comes off, the two springs come off, and then you can check for play in the valve guide, see if there's any play this way. This is super tight, so that valve guide probably doesn't need replacing. And that's it. Out she comes. See how oily it is at the bottom? So that's because the valve guide oil seals need replacing. Okay, so I'm going to put the camera on the other side. I'll try and do that so you can see what it looks like on the other side here. Maybe I'll just turn the cylinder head around so you guys can see. Let's try that. So I'm going to do the exhaust valve there. See if I can manage to do that. So I'll just flip it around like that. Now you can see the springs on this side. There is a stud in here and there's a broken one I have to take out, so it's kind of in the way, but we'll make do. You know what, just to make it easy, I'm going to take out the one at the front here. This is a bit of an awkward position. But basically, I'm going to wind this in a little bit more. Not quite there yet. Basically, this kind of snaps in place when there's a bit of tension on it. So you want to have a little bit of tension on it before you start. And that'll just hold it in place. So you just kind of have to keep winding the adjustment screw until you get the right tension. A little bit more. Now, this is extremely entertaining. Okay, so now should be there. Center it over the top. Maybe we're not there yet. Oh my gosh, here we go. A little bit more. Thought we had it. Okay. Is this it? Are we there? Maybe I went too far. You know what? See? Nobody's perfect. because I have the camera on. I'm struggling with a simple little job. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. What the heck is going on here? Oh yeah, I got a little carried away and I wound it down way too much, so. Okay, yeah, we just need to go a tiny bit here. Okay, so now I'll just wind this one down. She goes. Pretty simple job. Probably the hardest part and the most important part, just keeping things in order. Making sure you don't lose the little valve keepers. So there's one. There's two. Now we can back this off slowly. Once it's almost backed off, you could release the handle if you want to speed things up, but I just like to back it off so I don't get a spring flying. Okay, there we go. We'll just put this over here. So there's our cap, our two springs. Once again, you can see the valve stem seals right here. See what the play is like on this guy. No play, super tight. Pull the valve out, and there's another intake valve. We don't want to mix these up though, so I'm just going to put this over here so I know it goes at this end, and that's it. That's how you take valves out of the cylinder head. In a bit I'll show you how to pop these valve stem seals off. It's very easy. Basically just get a pry bar, stick it underneath, and pop them right off. And then I think it's an 11mm socket I usually use. Oh look, this one's loose. It's an 11mm socket, fits over these perfectly, and you just tap them on. Yeah, so that's it. In order to remove the pre-combustion chambers, you're going to want to elevate the bottom of the cylinder head a little bit so that there's room for it to fall out. I have a Proto 1/4 inch punch here. I'm going to put it through the injector hole, and then we're going to kind of have it angled this way so I catch the pre-combustion chamber, and we're just going to hammer away until she pops out. So let's see if I can set the camera up here so you can kind of see. Let's give this a whirl, see what happens. Of course the hammer is underneath the tripod. Okay, that's still okay. So we're going to give this a few knocks, see what happens here. I'm going to put some safety glasses on because we don't want to hurt our eyes. So. There she comes. Went into the valve cover and knocked over one of my valves. If I get that out of there, show you guys. It's stainless. Funny thing is that one doesn't actually look like it's cracked, but you can see where this made contact was right about here. And that's it. There's our pre-combustion chamber. And yeah, that one might not be cracked, but when you put them in, there's a little locating tab, little locating notch right here. And you're going to want to make sure you have that lined up before you tap them in. Of course, if you're putting new ones in, you're going to want to clean the hole in the cylinder head where this goes before you put them in. And okay, so we're gonna see if we can get the next one out now. The next one, we make sure we've got some space for it here. Pull out the little washer here. This is the little gasket for the injector. Okay, stick this in here. Give this one a whirl. How many taps? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 shots. Now this one here. Can't really see if there's any cracks in it. That one might actually be okay too, believe it or not. Usually these have major cracks in them. Sometimes they have to be cleaned up a little bit first to be able to see the cracks. So I'll just wire brush this one for fun for a second. I think I see a little crack right, it's hard to see on the camera probably, but right about here you can kind of see a little line there. Anyways, we're going to take the rest of them out because new ones are going to go in. So that's all there is to taking pre-combustion chambers out. A little trick here for getting studs out. If you want to remove a stud, basically put 2 nuts on it, just like I did here, tighten them up, and then you're basically going to put a wrench on the bottom one and you should be able to rotate the whole assembly right out, just like that. Removing the valve stem seals on the 3B cylinder head. Basically, you can just take a heel bar such as this, stick it underneath, and they come off just like butter. Very, very simple. Very easy. That's it. That's how to get the valve stem seals off. Just so you can see the cylinder head with the valves removed, the pre-combustion chambers removed. That's kind of how she looks. You can see the 2 holes in the pre-combustion chamber, one for the glow plug, one for the injector. That's what she looks like, all stripped down. And this is going to be taken to a machine shop to get cleaned up, tested, and refaced, ready for the head gasket. Hey there, I just wanted to show you what hand lapping valves looks like. Essentially what the valve looks like before. So this is here's an exhaust valve from a 3B cylinder head. So I'm going to show you up close here, this exhaust valve, try and get the focus here. You can see there's a little bit of pitting there. See that? Once you hand lap it, you should get a nice even gray ring all the way around. So essentially what hand lapping is you'll have the valve in here like this with some lapping compound that you'll apply to the valve face. And essentially the suction cup will go on the valve like so. And then you're going to spin it and you're going to rotate it every once in a while. Spin, 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 rotate. Spin, 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 rotate. Then you'll take a look at the valve after you've done that, and you'll see if it needs more lapping. So this one here is done. You can see the difference. So you see the gray ring there? Try and get in focus here. Come on. Anyways, you get the idea. I'll put some photos up of this, but yeah, so essentially that's the process, and you just keep repeating it until you get a nice consistent gray ring. There we go, all the way around the valve. So this way we'll make sure that the seal is 100% and that the mating surface between the valve face and the insert and the cylinder head are a perfect match. So yeah, that's it.